It's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Good morning and welcome to News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Boston Hill. We are here at Awesome Radio 106.9 FM WBIS.
Good morning, Renee, and our Awesome Radio listeners out there. Let's see what we got going on here this morning. As we are talking to our radio land out here, we want to let you know that today is going to be a great day because the weather is going to be fantastic. It's going to be in the 80s. That's like almost like a summer day. But we just got to be careful with, we don't want to overdress. We want to dress properly during these times. And the thing is, we want everyone to know that I'm going to just tell you a little bit about what's going on outside of the United States, because right now in Russia, there's thousands that find a police threat to protest the invasion of Ukraine. And can it make a difference? We don't know if it's going to make a difference or not, but we do know that they are arresting protesters and they are putting them in jail, because Putin, he doesn't want anybody to upset what he's doing with Ukraine. And he's, of course, not giving them the correct information. He's just giving them what he wants them to know. But other than that, it'll be it's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough time. Wow, I don't know what's going on with my voice, but it's going to be a rough time this morning because, like I said, over there in Ukraine, they are bombing, places, the residents, where the civilians are living. They're bombing them. They're bombing, hospitals. Right now they were in a shelter. The Ukrainians was in a shelter. Now they they were in the hospital with the young babies. Now they got these young babies and their families on a train going towards Poland. And we want to make sure that you are aware of all of this. I know some of you are aware because some of you are going to continue to watch the news all the time. Okay. And watching the news, we're going to make sure that, we give you the right information right here at Awesome Radio 106.9 FM, because that is what we're all about, is giving you the correct news right here.
All righty. So the update for Ukraine, because every time you turn on the radio or you listen to, and your series in your car or Awesome Radio, one of the popular conversations, of course, is the war going on in Ukraine. And some people say, well, that's Ukraine's problem. It did become my problem when they did not allow the African students and residents there to board the planes because they too wanted to flee for their safety. But just like how down in Texas when they were corralling Haitians up, and we have to understand that all Black people, are Black people. It doesn't matter if you're a Black from Haiti, or if you are a Black from Africa. We have to unite and not separate ourselves from these people because they are our people. And so things got, better for the Haitians down in the Texas border. Things, I don't know how much better. Perhaps maybe you can give me a call at 252-756-2008. And then also, not only in that got better for Haitians, but the Africans were able to load the trains. And what they're doing now in Poland, depending on if you have family or someplace to go, they are working with a travel agent to get these people back home or to family in different states. So we have to make sure we use our voice, because we also, even though they did not pass the John Lewis bill, the HR1 bill, the lynching law did pass, I believe, in the House, but of course it's in the Senate and we don't know what's going to happen with that. But our pressure on people okay, is making a difference in our ability to have our voices heard. And you have to remember that the money that they're sending to Ukraine, all right, is monies that they could very well be using here in this country to continue to lift families out of poverty. So that what we're seeing in Hungary, the devastation might not look as bad here in the States, but there are communities that look just like that they were bombed, the houses are vacant. There's a lot of poverty, a lot of people who are hungry. And so now is a time that while sending this money to Ukraine, the Build Back Better bill needs to be reconsidered because that will make so much of a difference in the lives of the people here in this country. So we don't want devastation going on anywhere of the world. And we definitely don't want devastation here at home because our brown and black tax dollars are going out of the country and it needs to also be shared amongst the people here.
Well, I like to go back to Ukraine for a second because, racism is all over this globe. And the thing is, what is going on right now is the fact that in Ukraine, when the black Africans were trying to leave, they wouldn't let them leave in the beginning. And you see, the thing is, they said that all citizens have to stay, 16 to 60 have to stay. But the African was there as a guest, not as they're not residents of Ukraine. They're there to go to school. And so they should have been able to leave in the beginning. And they wasn't allowed to leave in the beginning, but I guess through a lot of pressure from different legislators and politicians, they were able to leave. But it's so important to, I always tell you right here, at News and Politics today with Renee Boston Hill, is to listen with the third ear and read with the third eye, because so a lot of times we just want to know what is going on, because at first everybody was saying, oh, they can leave. They were leaving. But then we found out that they weren't leaving. So we have to just be careful with what we listen to.
Okay, so also this weekend, we do know that they had their march commemorating in Selma, Alabama, the Bloody Sunday, and Kamala Harris, she spoke about that. She was there as so with so many other people marching across the bridge, and I guess again, I'm not an expert to speak about this, but what I would like to bring your attention to is the poverty that is in Selma, Alabama, and how so many people, because they've just pretty much have given up, they are not voting. Okay, I think less than 57% of the people who were there don't go out regularly when the election time comes. However, as an encouragement to the people of all the states in America, now is the time for you to get registered. Now is the time for you to check your status. I heard, and this could be, I don't know how true it is, but Florida is asking for people who have voted in every election to bring in their ID and also the last four of their Social Security. So if it's been working all this time, again, this is voter suppression. This is what we have to make sure that we stay on top of, because if not, all right, what is going on in some other state, particularly when it comes to the black and brown vote and stealing elections, we have got to make sure that that we put the pressure and that we do on the ground canvassing and voter registration. We have got to stay focused on this, because we do know that there's quite a bit of voter suppression and laws that have been put in place to block the black and brown vote, and the Native Americans also.
Well, that is so important. And Selma, we're talking about Selma, Alabama. Well, Selma, Alabama, just to let you know, is located on the bank of the Atlanta River, and that is the population there is not really a large population. It's just a little over 20,000 residents there, And the city is best known for the 1960 Selma March, the voting rights movement, and that brought them on the map, And so it's so important that we know why individuals did what they did, why marches and people are marching, why they're protesting, because we don't want to just walk into a crowd without knowing what that crowd is there for and how they are participating.
Okay, so and again, we also have to make sure that the president and his cabinet, that they continue to put sanctions on Russia, because the pressure with, I know that the Visa and the MasterCard are no longer honoring people from that country, Russia. I do know that we have a lot of businesses in Russia, just like all across the world and the country. But we do know that as one by one, these countries are starting to put sanctions also on Russia. We do know that McDonald's and also Coca-Cola, they are still operating in Russia, still keeping their McDonald's, and they're serving their drinks. So, what is the pressure that we can put on these countries so that we can squeeze and stop the tragedy that is going on in Ukraine? We cannot use. We can stop purchasing in McDonald's. We can stop buying Coke, and so that we can get them to understand that there's like the Ukrainians are humans, and that when they do bomb their schools, their homes, and you see on TV the devastation, unless they keep showing the same picture, that how will that country ever be able to rebuild, or how long would it take for them to rebuild once this is resolved? So let's stay positive. I do know that President Biden is doing his best, because he said he did not want to go to war with Russia. He does not want to put troops on the ground, but there's pressure coming from, they're trying to get NATO to the Russian leaders. They want to get NATO out of the picture, but NATO is lending support to the Ukrainians, and it's important again that we stay vigilant as to what's going on. Our number is 252-756-2008, and what we need is, maybe there's somebody out there that has some insight as to help to give information to our listeners in regards to this.
Well, Renee, one of the reasons too that President Biden don't want to put soldiers on the ground over there, or create the no-fly zone, is because once he create a no-fly zone, that means we're going to have planes up in the air. And now if Russia planes come there, what's going to happen? Well, then we're going to have to shoot them down. And then that's going to create a whole different scenario in this war in Europe over there. So this is, again, we got to pay attention to what's going on, because we don't want our soldiers over there. The president don't want them over there. So what we have to do is make sure that we are talking about, evidently I'm repeating some stuff here. So go right ahead.
All right. The other thing that to be aware and abreast of here at home is that we know the effects of cyber warfare. And we do know that right now, our country, America, is exposed to cyber warfare. So it's important that not to rush, but also to make sure that if they should attack our banks, our ATMs, that you have whatever little bit of money you can at hand, that so that you can get the things that you need. Cyber warfare can come at us in so many different ways. So again, it's like, again, we just got through the pandemic. We're still going through the pandemic. Now we're going through this Ukrainian war. So it's something that is making us always want to be on guard. So It's unfortunate. And then if you go to the gas station and you try to fill up or to put a little bit of money into your tank, look at the gas prices. And something that I heard over the weekend, and I'm just going to pass it on to you, because today's Monday. I heard that every Tuesday, the gas prices every week are going to be going up in this America. So then, if you're at the sound of my voice and you want to make sure that that your tank stays full, because make sure you do it no later than Monday, because the prices will go up. I went to the gas station on Saturday, and my husband did not fill up his tank. So I went Saturday, it was one price. He went back to the same station, and it was up again. So we just want to make sure that you stay vigilant, you stay aware, you use your voice where you can, and that can be done. That can be done through your 5 caller apps by getting in touch with your legislators to let them know exactly how you feel. Now, again, we're going to be moving into the primary season. Most states have already closed their listing or filing for candidacies. You have candidates that are moving from one position to the next. You have candidates that are in the position and they're going to be seeking your vote again. So it's important that we do a report card on the candidates. Whatever they said they were going to be running on, that's what we need to follow up on and make sure that they are being due diligent. One of the things that when I ran for mayor that I thought was so important was transportation. When you see old people, young people standing out waiting for a bus for who knows when it's going to show up, there's no seating at the station or the bus stop. There's no shelter there, and yet transportation was something that I felt was so important in this town of Pitt County and even Greenville. And I can say that I'm still seeing people standing, waiting for buses, still seeing people waiting with no place to sit, no shelter for a bus that who knows when. Of course, there's a schedule, but we don't know if it's sticking to the schedule. Well, and okay, and then now we also know that, again, the primary is coming up. We have got to make sure that we know exactly who's running. We do know, I do have the list of candidates, and it's so important that we announce some of these candidates, particularly for the municipals, because the municipals were supposed to happen last year, and because of redistricting and gerrymandering, they pushed those elections off. So some of the people who are in place, they had an opportunity to also to stay a year longer and to get their agenda pushed ahead. We do know that the investors and the developers are building up so much here in Pitt County, Greenville, that we can't even recognize some of the places because of the growth. And some growth is always good, change is always good, but how is it impacting your life? So this is News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Borston Hill. We are here at Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM WBIS. We are also radio. You can catch us on the radio again at 1170. And you can also catch us on Roku. You can catch us on our local TV, our GPAC station, and YouTube. By going on Awesome Radio, you can then upload our YouTube picture, and you can use this information to share it out to other people that you know. Because when we speak specifically on Greenville, because that's where we live, specifically on North Carolina, because this is our state, it doesn't mean that the same activities are not going on in your state. Just like how we had 7 Republicans in the House of Representatives in Congress who did not vote to certify the election. I'm sure you, because it was 147 people, those other 140s were spread out through all the states. So it's important again that you identify these people because they supported the lie. A lot of them are still supporting the lie that Trump won the election. The insurrection committee, they're doing better to make sure that you you know exactly what happened on that day. So the Congress people who are supporting the lie, a lot of them are up for reelection. And those are the people that we need to identify and then make sure that when they do run for reelection, that we know where they come from.
And you're right on. I just want to mention the fact that in the town commons there were handicapped parking for handicapped individuals, and now the last time I was there, there was no handicap parking in the town commons for handicaps. So what are we going to do about that? Should we just let it go, or should we start calling our council people? We need handicap parking at town commons. We don't need handicap parking in the street. We need it in the park. It'd be easier for us to maneuver and get around because it was right there. They had two spots for handicap. Now there's no handicap parking. We need to talk to our city council people to have them replace those handicap parking there in town commons.
Okay, so again, this is your town, your voice, and you need to make sure that your voice is heard and that your representatives who seek your vote, they do things so that they can they should be working in your favor and making sure that your needs are being met in your particular county. So all right, and so where are we? Okay, I finally found Pitt County, the list of candidates who were running, and as promised, I did say it's a long list. Though, wow, we have quite a few candidates that are out there that are running, and okay, let's go. Ooh, this is a long list. I don't know, Calvin. This might take up the rest of the show because of all these
well, you
people.
don't have to do them all today.
No, I won't. Okay, but I will. What the ones that I will do. Okay, because this election is going to be very interesting because you have people running in multiple parties. You're going to have people who are coming out supporting candidates of their choice. And then also, you're going to have misinformation coming out so that more than likely the elections will probably get very dirty, very nasty. We do know that Russia had something to do with Trump being elected. They spread misinformation, and there are misinformation camps all over the place that that we need to make sure we understand where it's coming from. So Russia now is paying people, have paid people in our past elections, spreading misinformation that your vote doesn't count, and that it's important that you know your vote does count. And if your vote didn't count, why are so many people trying to disevaluate it?
Well, the thing with voting is that, like you said, every vote counts. And the fact that we have known individuals to win an election by one vote. So it's so important that you vote. We never tell you who to vote for, but we tell you to vote. It doesn't matter whether you're Republican, Democrat, whatever, but we want you to vote. We want everyone to vote. And it shouldn't be a penalty. It shouldn't be a poll tax. We should just get out there and vote. If you know a young person that's turning 16 or 17, and let them register, especially if you got someone that's turning 18, they're going to go down and get their permit. Make sure that they register to vote while they're getting their permit. It's all right there. You can do it one time. And this way, when the elections come around, they will be able to vote. And that's the main thing, is voting. We want everyone to vote, because it's so important. And then if you are going to go and vote, know who you're voting for.
and know the candidate's platform, and the platform just means this is what they're running on. We do know that we have active commissioners running, and we need to make sure that we we look at the commissioners because they're the ones that determine how much money gets spent in your particular town. And again, once the money comes into your town, it's your manager and your mayor that designates the money to go out. So, just to name a few, we do know that in Pitt County Board of Commissioners, we have um, William Christopher Nunley. He's running. He's in District 3. We also know that there's another candidate, uh, Kenneth Neal Driver is also running for 3. In 4, we have Faye Hardy Bordeaux, and we also have Hattie Hardy Bordeaux, the same last name that is running for District 4 as commissioner. We also have in 04, we have a Benjamin Hackman who's running, and their candidate running against him is also Benji Holloman is running for Board of Commissioners. Okay, that's interesting. And then also we have in District 5, we have this is a very poor writing, Calvin. I can't read them. That's why we're going to have to we're going to do better with this next week because they're going to be out there trying to seek our vote again. And we want to make sure that, number one, that we are all registered, and that number two, we pay attention to those people who are running in our neighborhoods.
Well, I'm going to change the topic while you're looking that up, because a lot of people is not aware of certain things that go on, in our lives. And just like the King family, for instance, well, I didn't know until last week that the Lord Joe's trial, there was a trial, and the King family versus the Lord Joe's and other unknown co-conspirators was an American civil suit brought by the family of Martin Luther King Jr. against Lord Joe's, following his claim of a conspiracy in the assassination of the civil rights leader in 1968. However, the jury would eventually decide in 1999 that there was a conspiracy perpetrated by the Joes and other conspirators. And the funny thing is, I wasn't aware of this trial. I'm sure a lot of us was not, still not aware of this trial. That's why we bring certain things to you. Well, the King family, they won $1, and that's all they was requesting was $1, and that's what they received, $1 for that. And it makes a difference, because the jury, they heard it. They were in there for less than an hour, and they came back with a decision. So again, we have to look up our history, know what is going on, because we're gonna look up different things and bring it to your attention. Because like I said, I wasn't aware of this trial until recently. And now that I'm aware of it, my job is to bring it to Awesome Radio listeners.
Okay. And again, this is just, there's so much going on. There's so many distractions that this is something that is very important that the King family fought for, and that it was not able to be like made of a big deal because of all the things that are going on. And Calvin, I just wanted to say, you want to say something else?
Yeah, I just want to make a correction on what I said, because I said $1, but it was $100 that the King family was granted. They requested in damages, and that's what that was about.
Okay. And the primary that's going to be happening for 2022 for the candidates, and again, I'll have a better listing that I can see better, is going to be May 17th. So again, also, it has been rescheduled. It was supposed to be sometime last year, but now the primary for those candidates that have contested races. And what do I mean about that? If there's two Democrats running, and if the seat, the elected position, says that, okay, you have to have a Democrat, you have to have a Republican. And if there's two Democrats, they both cannot enter the race it's the primary that's going to decide for the people, by the people, which one of those candidates will represent them. So it's important that if you support a candidate that is running, that you just don't say, okay, well, I like you. Well, they're going to want your vote, but they're going to want to make sure that everything else that you're doing is going to help them to run it. And that could be by you doing phone banking for them, canvassing for them, voter registration, not naming the candidate when you're doing the voter registration, but going and making sure that they have a higher voter registration done in that community so that they can have a higher voter turnout. The other thing that we were speaking on is that what is it that your state is doing to suppress the vote?
Well, that's a big question there. What are they doing? Well, in like some states, I think it's Florida, I think it is. I know you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're online and your grandmother is 80 years old and she needed some water, well, her grandson now go and bring her some water. Well, now he can get arrested for that. This is another way of suppressing the vote. Another way of suppressing the vote is taking ballot boxes away, from certain communities. There was one community where there was like 7 ballot boxes, and now there's only 1. So again, this is all different ways that the different individuals, and I'm just going to put it out there, the different individuals in the GOP, Republican Party, are trying to suppress Black and brown votes. And they don't realize that they also are hurting their own people, because a lot of Caucasian white people use those drop boxes just as well as Black and brown people. So we want to make sure that we get the information out there to you, to call your city council people and let them know that you need the boxes out there. Call your board of election and let them know that you need drop boxes.
Okay. So, all right. So we didn't talk really about the CDC and what is going on with the virus. I do know that if you happen to have got the Omicron, and they did say that it was a mild case, that not everybody had to be hospitalized. The people who were mostly hospitalized were people who did not get the vaccine. I do know that people are speaking about long-term COVID and how they need to start to do research and invest, because a lot of people are feeling the effects of the long-term COVID. And then also, they're saying that most commonly spreads, that the COVID-19 most commonly spreads between people who are in close contact through respiratory droplets or small particles produced when an infected person coughs, talks, or breathes. Now, they have done things now to reduce the mask mandate, where they're saying it's optional in some places. But the scientists are also saying that this might be great for right now, but you're going to see another wave of a new variant within 2 months. And so how do we live, okay, or what is it that you're doing to protect yourself against the variants that could be possibly coming not only to devastate you, but your family? We do know that Pfizer had a vaccine for children under 5, and that has not been released yet. So you go out to work, parents, your children go out to school, and maybe or perhaps they're not vaccinated, and then they get exposed, and then they bring the virus home to those children who were in the household under 5 years of age. Is that something that is happening in your family? 252-756-2008. let us know, okay, what is going on in your particular household, in your particular town, in your particular state.
Well, Renee, uh, again, just about talk about the COVID. We met an individual that was in his 30s, and he was saying he had the COVID, and now he have heart issues that will probably be with him the rest of his life. So this is why we tell individuals, doesn't matter how young or old you are, but if you wear that mask, you protect yourself and your family. Because if you do get the COVID, you don't know how it's going to affect you down the road.
Okay. And then, again, protecting your family. They say you should wash your hands regularly with soap and water or clean them with an alcohol based hand rub. Cover your mouth and nose with a mask when in public settings or around others. Maintain at least 6 feet distance. They're still saying that these things actually work in reducing the spread of the virus. Avoid touching your face. Oh my goodness, I did that 2 times, Calvin,
Yes.
while on the radio because my nose was tickling me. Um, Cover your mouth and nose when coughing or sneezing. Stay home if you feel unwell. Refrain from smoking and other activities that weaken the lungs. Practice physical distancing by avoiding unnecessary travel, staying away from large groups of people. And just this is just the basic for prevention. All right. It doesn't say, well, I didn't prevent it because I didn't get a vaccine. And you still can get vaccinated if you have not done that. Um, they're going to be probably sending out new rules saying that if children, particularly over the age of 5, if you're not vaccinated, just like how you have to have your mom's your chicken pops, and other vaccines, they might add this to the list in order to say that, well, without this vaccine, you can't come to school.
Well, did you mention that so many states now have made it so that children can not wear the mask?
No, I have a friend in Virginia. Well, they have a new governor, and he took away all mask mandates. And what he has said that in the classroom, the kids don't have to wear it. But my friend's daughter, she because she had the little girl had COVID twice. The parents had COVID twice. They have a young son under 2 in the house. She requires that her 7-year-old daughter wears her mask in school. So now they send the group picture home of the kids taking a picture, and none of the children had on masks, and her daughter took off her mask. So the mom was very upset because she instructed her 7-year-old daughter to wear the mask, and she could not understand why she didn't listen to her and keep her mask on. So the dilemma: what would you do to your child when they got home from school, or how would you approach making that resolving this issue? That if your daughter, and you did put it in writing that your daughter is to wear her mask, but yet for that picture she took off her mask, and that one little time that can cause exposure.
Well, I guess I'm from the old school because I believe that children should listen to the parents above everyone else. And especially if she sent a note to the school saying that her daughter should keep her mask on at all times. And now if the daughter come down with COVID again, I would have a serious issue with the school.
Right. And so I figured that trying to resolve how to discipline the child, um, um, well, yes, I told you, but then I'm in the classroom with an authority. And so do you tell her, don't listen to your teacher when your teacher talks? Or now you need to go up to the school and deal with the administration there and the teacher to let them know that this is unacceptable.
Well, and you're right. That's what you should do. I don't want to repeat you.
So anyway, so we talked about COVID, Calvin. We talked about Ukraine. We talked about Russia. We talked about humanity and treating all people as humans. And we know that the world, okay, particularly Trump and the Trumpsters, they are trying to wash out or wipe out the people. And they want this world to be a very white world. And Russia is good for that. Um, Also, who's good for that was at one point, it was Ukraine.
Yes.
Even though they allowed students and people to come there to work, um, they still had certain rights. And it's like in this country, particularly here in the South, and don't beat me up on my Southern brothers and sisters, but there's a mentality that is here amongst the people that if the white man doesn't give the approval, then it can't happen. And so we have to understand that we cannot make ourselves second class citizens. We have every right to everything that is available in this country. We fought for it, we built for it, and I can't even say we earned it. It's nothing to earn because it should be a natural thing.
Well, you're right. I just want to change the topic a little bit uh, because William Barr, he was the he was the attorney general, and one of the things that he said is that um, I have to adjust my glasses for those that you can see me so I can read, you know, that he believes former President Donald Trump is morally responsible for the January 9th, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol, but isn't legally culpable. And now, this is the other thing here is that, uh, NBC Leslie Holt interviewed him, and he said that Trump was responsible for the violence at the Capitol. Barr said, I do not think he was responsible in the broad sense of that word, in that it appears that part of the plan was to send his group up to the hill. I think the whole idea was to intimidate Congress, and I think that was wrong. And that's what Barr said, William Barr said. But if you send someone up to the hill and telling them that you need to take it over, well, he's responsible for that legally and morally, in my opinion.
Okay. So, and we're going to see what comes out. The attorney general, who is in a position to make charges, we have not seen him make charges on Trump and his other people. We do know that I also saw one of his fellow people that was right there through the whole insurrection, Mark Meadows. He comes out of North Carolina. I recently saw that he has registered himself to living in a trailer. And so he himself continues to be, or is continues to be uncovered, that he has done a lot of illegal things, that he's registering to vote one place, but yet he lives someplace completely different. And if you saw a picture of the trailer, there's no way that Mark Meadows, with all his monies, would ever live in a place like that. Though, I mean, it could be a place where Trump supporters, his people, because I mean, he has his elite that have definitely made money from his presidency, but his biggest donors and supporters are of the $5 and $10 are living in trailers, okay, with the biggest Trump signs all over their houses that they should be using to hold the house up.
Well, Renee, I have to say that there's a lot of good trailers out there. I know some people that have trailers, and you would never know that it's a trailer. So all trailers are not bad. Let's just put that out there.
I didn't, well, I'm sorry if I insinuated it, but what I do know, and for the people that I'm speaking of, are living very poor. Okay. And not to say that rich people don't live in trailers, but the ones that I'm citing and the ones that I saw when I was working the census was really horrific. Now, the other thing we didn't talk about, Calvin, and we have a few minutes where we can just bring that up real quick, is Brittany Griner. Brittany is a WNBA All Star, and she, I guess, on her off seasons, goes to Russia and she plays basketball. And she was on her way back home where they found some CDC oil on her in her possession. So they now looking at CDC oil, and we know that it's used for the oils are used for a lot of different things. Um, they arrested her.
Well, yes, they did, but see, that's the thing. When you go to another country, you have to know their laws because their laws can be completely different than the laws here in the United States. The CD, the oil that you were talking about, well, it's legal here in the United States, but is it legal over there? And actually, she's facing up to 10 years in prison.
Right. And they said one day after Russia revealed that it had detained 7-time WNBA All Star Brittany Griner on drug charges, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken was asked what the Biden administration plans to do to help her. Well, again, she is there, I guess legally. We don't know if she brought it in with her, or we don't even know if she purchased it there. But it is used on the body when you have aches and pains to rub in, and you're supposed to get some relief. Blinken, speaking Sunday from Moldova, was reluctant to comment specifically on Griner, citing privacy considerations. Answering generally, Blinken told reporters, whenever an American is detained anywhere in the world, we of course stand ready to provide every possible assistance, and that includes in Russia. Griner was arrested at the airport near Moscow last month after Russian authorities searched her luggage and allegedly found vape cartridges containing hashish oil. The Russian Federation of Customs Service issued a statement Saturday that it has opened a criminal investigation into the large-scale transportation of drugs, which in Russia can carry a prison sentence up to 10 years.
Well, 10 years is a long time, especially for a basketball career. And the fact that, did she bring it in with her or did she purchase it there and taking it out? That all these questions have to be asked.
And then the timing of Griner's detainment raises concern that her fate could come entangled in the confrontation between Russia and the West over war in Ukraine. A former top Pentagon official told Yahoo Sports on Saturday that she's concerned Russia may view Griner as a high-profile hostage who could serve as a valuable bargaining chip. So again, stay tuned to what's going on because we don't want anything to happen to anybody. And again, people were told to get out of the country. They were told to leave Ukraine, particularly the Americans, because we know the value that we serve to people in these countries.
Well, we serve a great value. And the thing is, I'm not going to repeat you, but the thing is that, when you go to countries, like I said before, we have to know the law of that country. It's just like I remember we went someplace and we found out that they drove on the opposite side of the street than we drive here in the United States. So all these things you have to look at. You have to make sure that you are aware of the states, those countries that you go into, and those rules, because the rules, can get you locked up if you're not aware of them. I'm sure she wasn't aware that what is CDB? The drugs, the CDC that she had, was not illegal. I'm pretty sure. I'm not reading her mind, but if she had it, in the States, everybody knows that you can buy it at Walmart, any place. But then in Russia, did she buy it there or did she bring it there?
Okay, so Calvin, we're going to be wrapping up the show. Just want to make sure that our listening audience know that cyber attacks can happen, and we don't want to make sure that you prepare yourself. And preparing yourself just means keeping a couple of dollars on the outside so that you can get the most urgent things. We also want to make sure that if you know someone who has not been vaccinated, a lot of that misinformation can be squashed when they have a trusted person educating them. Register a family member to vote. It's so important that we start getting on board with the voting and making sure that we attend certain meetings. So when these candidates seek out vote, we also let them know what is important to us. Attend a PTA meeting, attend a Board of Elections meeting. Also, we want to make sure that you do some volunteer work so that you're not left drained. That's just something that is fulfilling you. And then donate to a cause that you feel is very important. We're here at Awesome Radio 106.9 FM WBIS. This is Calvin and Renee here at News and Politics. Um, News and Politics today. So, and also just pay attention, be vigilant. Do not think that something cannot happen in your backyard, because it can. And again, we thank you, and we'll see you back here next week, Monday at 10 a.m. My back is against the wall. More bills than money to pay. But I know just who to call on when I need relief. I pray to help me fight. Precious.